From the PEN studios, this is the Imperfect Moms Club with your hosts, Lisa and Brittany.
On today's episode of Imperfect, we talk about the terrible twos, parenting more than one child, and discuss the 5 different styles of parenting.
Today, we're going to be talking about going from 1 to 2, the remix.
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Today, we are, as I said, talking about going from 1 to 2. I thought it would be a cool idea just to kind of, we had an episode about this before I actually had to, and then now that Holly popped out, here I am to talk about my thoughts. Because I got him. So expectations versus reality with 2 kids. So I thought, this is actually Paul's thought, but I agree with him completely. So we thought that we didn't have any free time before, but now it's like we really have no time. Like there's no time. It's really, gets to me that there's, with Lily, like I'd get all upset because be like, man, like I just want nap time. I just want a break. But like now I'm like, I need a break. Like I need to get out of this house right now. It's more urgent, I guess. But I wouldn't have known that before because I only had one. So also it's miraculous, but they always need something at the same time. I don't know if you had the same experience, Brittany, but like every single time that one of them needs something, the other one is screaming because they also need something. Like, what's a mom to do?
And for me, because my girls are a little older,
they're old enough now that it's not like one needs a diaper change and one needs something else. Like they both want the same thing, but it's just different enough that I still have to do twice the work. Like one want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and the other one wants egg on toast. So I have to like get out the peanut butter jelly, spread it, whatever, put that away, get out the bread for the other kid, make the toast, make the egg. Like they want it like now, right now.
Yeah. What's frustrating for me is that, so Holly's 5 months old. And when I'm feeding her, I am completely I can't do anything else. Like, I don't know what it is. I need like another pair of arms or something. Like, I'm pretty sure that in like the very distant future, females that get pregnant will also they'll grow an extra set of arms while they're also growing their tiny human. Because sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I had 10 arms so I could just do all these things. I see it happening. Evolution and nature, what does that species need? And what we need is more arms. That's all I'm saying. So I thought I was overstimulated before. So there's a lot of stuff that I thought I was, and now I'm like, oh crap. This is like a whole nother level of overstimulation.
So I thought I was gonna have my girls be all matchy poo poo, like all the clothes are gonna match, like they would be coordinated all the time. Because you see really cute outfits, and like Carter's or whatever, they'll sell the outfit from newborn all the way up to 5T. And we'll do that every now and then for Christmas or Easter. But other than that, we're basically just wearing whatever is clean. And half the time it's a couple sizes too small. My girls, I buy them leggings at the beginning of the season, and 2 or 3 seasons later, they're still wearing them and they've turned into the crop cut, And I'm like, oh, I should get you some more. And so then when they actually have clothes that fit them, they're like, these are too big. And I'm like, no, those just fit. My bad.
That's funny.
Yeah. Nap time, you think you're going to synchronize their naps. They don't ever.
No, I was hoping because you said that when we had our other episode and Holly was still in my tummy. And then in my head, I was like, I'll show you. And then now I'm like, I was like, damn. Well, I've missed that opportunity. Yeah, it doesn't happen. I think one time, Holly must have been really sleepy that day, and they both napped from like 1 to 2. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I was like, one of them is dead. Like, what is happening? Like, I was like, okay, well, one of them died. Which one? But they were both just sleeping, and then they both woke up and they were fine. And I don't know, I was flabbergasted, but also very excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, very rarely do they both go to sleep at the same time. And when they do, you're like, okay, what do I do? Like, this never happens. I can't waste this time. Like, should I make a coffee? Should I watch a show? And then by the time you decide, like, then they wake up. So,
yeah.
So they always tag team. Okay. Also, so like you have one kid, right? And you master the art of going to the bathroom in public, like public bathrooms, not going to the bathroom in public. Don't do that. You like master it down. So you've got it. You're like, all right, cool. We like pull the stroller into the big stall. I give her a toy. I can do my thing, whatever, whatever your thing is. Then you throw a newborn into the mix, and it's like, what is going on? Like, I've noticed that some stalls will have this like chair thing on the wall that you can strap a toddler in.
Mm-hmm.
They're really handy, but they're not standard everywhere, and they really need to be. Like, and then I found a quote that I found hilarious. No one makes more observations than a child sharing a stall with his mother in a public bathroom. And this is just, yeah, because then both my girls will be in there and they're just talking about everything they see going on, and it's great. Or they'll talk about each other, and I'm like, oh, that's a big poop. And I'm like, oh, okay, can we just, this is so unpleasant. And I can hear like giggling outside the stall, and I'm just like, I just want to go home. I'm done.
Yeah, you just mentioned like going to the public restroom. So we went to San Antonio to visit my mom, and so we had we had Lily and Holly in there. And then, we always stop at this place called Buc-ee's. I talked about Buc-ee's before. It's this amazing, huge, you hold your pee until you get there. And so we got there, and I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, I know what I'm doing. Yay. And then I was like, wait, we don't have a double stroller. So Lily's going to have to walk. And like, she's really good at like following the stroller and holding on the stroller, but it's like panic mode for me because there's like other cars and there's other people. And then this Buc-ee's, it's always popping. Like it's just like the club or something. Like people just love, like every time I'm there, it's like bursting, even with COVID stuff, like it's bursting with people. And so we get in there, and Lily's all like, oh my God, there's so much stuff. And I'm like, please don't stop. What? And then like, I finally get into the stall, and I'm like real sweaty and I'm real stressed. And I bring her into the stall, and then like somebody like, the handicap stall is what I use because I have a huge stroller, but somebody's always in there. So I'm like waiting, and Lily's just standing there, and at any moment she could just dart out of the bathroom. And so like, it's just a big, I don't know. And then, yeah, so it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. It is definitely a skill that I will have to acquire that I have not acquired yet. But I mean, it's only been 5 months, so got some time. But it's, yeah. So I think that's one of those things that I'm going to have to plan for better instead of just assuming that I got this. Like, I have to actually, learn how to got this, But anyway.
Whenever we go on like a road trip or anything, and I have to take the girls potty, I like, by the time we're done and I'm walking out back into the restaurant or back into the gas station, Mike's just standing there. He's like, isn't this great? Like, we're having such great family time. And I'm like, I kind of hate you right now. I just like, I love you. But you don't understand what just happened in that bathroom. And I'm like so stressed out. Like, just, I can't.
And the sweat, like, I don't know. So before I became a mom, like I would sweat when I would like physically exert myself, but now I sweat when I'm like mentally exerting myself too, which doesn't make sense to me. So like if I'm stressed or something, I mean, it makes sense because my heart rate's up or whatever, but like I'm just like drenched in sweat. So like I get back to wherever I am and I'm just like, and Paul's just like, what happened? And I'm like, I had to think a lot. I had a big thought, and now I'm covered in sweat because like this is my life now. So you're welcome. So yeah, it's just, it's interesting times. I wanted to say one last thing about it. So people need to stop lying. So a lot of moms out there and a lot of people that I know say that the newborn stage is the hardest. It isn't. It isn't. Wait until that little person has their own opinion, but still isn't coordinated enough to do the things that they want to do on their own. So yeah, that's infants are a freaking cakewalk, and newborns, I mean, they cry a lot, but they also aren't mobile. So, so they stop lying to people and saying newborn stage is the hardest. It's not. And that leads us into our second segment. So after a quick break, we're going to talk about what happens when your little one turns 2, because it's wonderful. It's an amazing time. Terrible Twos is very adequately named. So be right back.
The Imperfect Moms Club is brought to you by
Look at that, huh? So they just magically showed up. I mean, literally, I just opened the door and they were there.
I ordered them, honey.
Oh.
We are very happy with our new Casper.
The Comfort is like a Lucius cloud, one of the softer clouds. But it's also a firm cloud, like a Oratio cloud. Always want to be a weatherman. Guess who I am?
It's the most exciting thing that's happened in our bedroom in a long time. A long time. Right?
I was on the fence about changing from a manual to an electric toothbrush, but my hygienist said going electric could lead to way cleaner teeth. She said get the one inspired by dentists, with the round brush head.
Go pro with Oral-B. Oral-B's gentle rounded brush head removes more plaque along the gum line for cleaner teeth and healthier gums. And unlike Sonicare, Oral-B is the first electric toothbrush brand accepted by the ADA for its effectiveness and safety.
What an amazing clean. I'll only use an Oral-B.
Oral-B. Brush like a pro.
This is the Imperfect Moms Club on PEN. Get in touch with the show through the PEN listener hotline at 833-PODS-NET. That's 833-763-7638. And now, back to the Imperfect Moms Club on the Podcast Entertainment Network.
Welcome back from the break. And now we are going to talk about terrible twos and why they're so terrible. I mean, it's not all bad, like Lily is also the cutest she's ever been. But yeah, that's not what we're here to talk about today. So, Brittany.
Well, I think that's why God made them so cute, because they're like, their personalities aren't cute, but they're like tiny and they can't fend for themselves and they can't feed themselves. So they still need you like to survive. So God's like, oh man, better give her some really big cheeks and some really cute eyes, a couple curls, boom, she's fine. She'll be fine. She'll make it. Because it's like, this kid is driving me crazy.
That actually reminds me. So Holly sleeps through the night, and she has until she was like about to be 3 months old. I mean, she has reflux, so she's also like a vomit comet, but she sleeps a lot at nighttime. So I think that what happened is the universe was just like Holly was the universe's apology, because she didn't sleep at all. And so, so I think the universe was like, sorry. You're a sleepy baby, but you're gonna have spit up all over your house, whatever, that's fine. But anyway, do you remember, or what do you remember about when your kids were 2?
I remember that I tried to potty train Clara before Molly popped out, and that was just not going to happen. And like the grossest, maybe not the grossest moment of my motherhood, but one of the moments that will stick out to me forever is when I was home alone with the girls. I was changing Molly's diaper on the little changing table, and I'm pretty sure it was like a nasty blowout, like all the way up the back kind of thing. And then as I'm like knee deep in this poop, I hear a splat, and I hear liquid hitting the floor, and I hear, uh-oh. And I look over, and my daughter is standing right next to me, and she's peeing and pooping right on the floor. And I'm standing next to her in socks. And I'm like, oh no. Like, why? I think I was just, I probably like didn't yell, but I was like, no. Because I think I had put her in underwear, because I was like, oh, she's fine. She's potty trained. And I just lied to myself. We have another poop story with Clara when she was 2. She was supposed to be napping, and we were downstairs in our basement, and I came upstairs to check on her, and the entire floor smelled like poop, like the whole first floor. And I'm like, that's weird. So I got to check on her, and she had not been sleeping. She had pooped, and she had decided to paint her entire wall with it.
Oh no. Oh my
God.
God.
Awful. It was so, and I had like painfully stenciled this wall with these beautiful birds. It was like this pretty like teal blue, and then I had like these beautiful little white birds on it. It was so cute and girly, and she had just the whole wall as high as she could reach, and I was like, oh no. So we had to clean that all off. We opened all the windows. We left the house for like 2 hours, came back, still stank.
Oh no.
And I kept washing that wall. I couldn't get the stink off the wall. We had to paint her room. It was that bad.
Oh no.
It was awful. I'm pretty sure we had to like change the bedding, like everything. It was horrible. So you know what? When it comes to potty training, just go with the flow, no stress. And when they're ready, they're ready. Like I pushed it way too hard, and I came to regret it very much. But my husband wrote down a couple of things because I was talking to him, and I'm like, hey, we're talking about terrible twos and going from 1 kid to 2 kid, and what are your thoughts? And so he wrote me a couple of things. He said, it's not as efficient as you would hope. And that's such a thing for him to say because he's little Mr. Logical or whatever. He's like, because normally you would think, 2 versus 1, you can do things, for 2, you just buy 2 of this and here you go. And
you'd think so.
Yeah, you think, I'm going to feed him at the same time. They're going to go to bed at the same time. We're going to bathe them. Boom, boom. It's going to be efficient. No, it's not efficient. There's no schedule. Like, no, it's a joke. The terrible 2s were more for us, terrible late 2s into 3s. Like, you think newborns are bad? Wait till they're 2. You think 2s are bad? Wait till they're 3, and it just like keeps going. And it's like, when are we going to be out of the woods? It's like that Taylor Swift song. Like, are we out of the woods? Like, are we out yet? And then the last thing he wrote down was all the whining and crying for quote unquote no reason was really triggering for him. And like for me too, but for him to admit that was huge because again, he's so logical where he's like, literally, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, why are you screaming at me? It would trigger him and he'd get really upset, and it would just, all parents know this. It'll just like ruin your whole afternoon. You just like, forget this. And then the kids always get over it like really fast. And they're like, I want to watch Blue's Clues. And they're all happy and they're just playing with their toys and you're still in a bad mood because earlier that day they screamed their head off at you for no reason. So
yeah.
I mean, it's hard for dads too, but yeah, those are just his thoughts.
Yeah. Paul's thought was, so he's really good at like managing her tantrums, like, cause he usually just like ignores it, right? Like it's, she's throwing a tantrum. She won't ask for something nicely or politely. He's just going to like ignore until she calms down, whatever. But I get so triggered by it that he says that him having to manage the tantrums on his own is fine, but like having to do that while also managing my emotions and my pushoverness is the hard part. And so like I asked him for, like, hey, like give me some thoughts about terrible twos. And like the first thing out the gate is like a criticism about me.
You need to calm down.
Have anything else to say?
Also, like when you tell a woman to calm down, the opposite happens. Yeah. So just don't do that. Just calm down. Oh, okay. Thank you for speaking such wisdom into my life.
I mean, I'm kind of, that might have painted him in a bad light. Like he's great. It's just like when a tantrum is happening, he's trying to get her out of it or do something. Like I will usually, like sometimes I'll give in to what she wants just so that she'll stop because it's triggering me and I just want that to stop. And so it's kind of brings us back to like that episode that we did about like parenting with depression and whatever, like sometimes your kids are just going to push those buttons and it's hard to, and so I feel bad because Paul sees that as like, I'm backseat parenting or whatever, like I'm not, and so it's just, I don't know. It's just anyway, but that was his thought. So my thoughts, so the things that I wrote down is she's so smart and capable, but like she also doesn't listen. So like she's so smart and I'm so proud of her and whatever, but like she doesn't, if she knows how to do something that like I don't want her to do, like she's gonna do it. Like she's not, she's like, I can do this, mom, I'm capable. And she'll even like if I tell her like, hey, like mommy said don't do that, whatever, she'll tell me that she can do it. Like that's supposed to like make it okay.
Oh, but I can. Well, I know you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, like can we not like, yeah. So again, Lily's tantrums always coincide with Holly needing something. Holly takes a long time to eat, like a long time. And so like before when I was talking about how, I'm basically paralyzed when I'm feeding her, like, but for a long time. And so, if I try to kind of like pause it, like I'll take the bottle out of Holly's mouth and be like, I'll be right back. Like Holly's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm still hungry. And so like my house gets very, very loud. And it's like really like I'm constantly overstimulated and it's just like it's not a good time. But so something else about terrible twos that I wrote down that I thought was funny was that no has officially become the word I hate the most of the English language. So I thought that word was push, and I didn't think that I'd hate any other words more than the word push, because flashback to giving birth to Holly.
Oh,
like just people yelling push at me for like 3 hours. Like I just that word makes me like want to vomit now. But yeah, no, I hate the word no more now because everything is no. Everything's no. She's going through the no phase and the mind phase at the same time. And like I don't know what to do about it. But anyway, she's also Lily's been getting jealous of Holly. But because she's, she has like aggression, which, it kind of makes me feel bad saying terrible twos, right? I mean, that's like what they call it. But like, they're developing and they can't handle their emotions and stuff. Like, I get that. It's just like, it's hard for me to handle it. And so like, it feels terrible for me. But anyway, I just wanted to make that little side note in case somebody decides to give us a little backlash for whatever, me backlash. I don't know. Anyway, 2021. But yeah, so she's more aggressive. So Lily gets jealous, but now, like the other day, I was feeding Holly and Lily like tried to pull the boppy out from under Holly. Like she was like, no, don't feed her anymore. And like pulled the boppy. And I was like, whoa. Like, whoa, okay. Like, can we not murder your sister? Like, I'm sorry that I have to feed her right now, but killing her is not gonna, it'll solve your problem, I guess, but it won't be a very good thing. So yeah. And then also patience isn't a thing that Lily knows about. Like she has no idea what patience is. I don't know when they learn patience. Like, I don't know if that's like a milestone or like a developmental thing they learn, or if that's something that parents have to teach kids. But if it is something that I have to teach her, I have to start doing that like yesterday, because this girl has I think that's probably just the age. I don't know if can you talk about that? Or
yeah, it's definitely the age. And like, it's something, I could be wrong, but I think like we have to teach it to kids. So the time that pops out to me the most right now is like when we're at the grocery store and, we're waiting in line to go and pay. And they're like, oh, why do we have to wait? Why do we have to stand in line? And I'm like, well, because it's other people's turn first and our turn will be soon. So we just have to stand here and wait our turn. And they'll be like, I'm bored, or my legs are tired. I'm like, yeah, I'm tired too, but we're just going to have to wait a couple minutes. It won't be long. And I don't know, whatever. Start pointing at the balloons. They always have balloons on display right at the grocery store. Like, I don't know why, but that's where they put them. So we'll be looking at that. Or I don't know, we're waiting in line to get our Happy Meal. And like, well, how come they're just getting theirs first? I'm like, well, they got here first and we're just going to wait and be patient and it'll be worth it and whatever. But it's hard for adults too to be patient. Like, I'm sorry, but Amazon Prime is not what it used to be. Tangent.
No,
but
it's not. It is not.
Like I used to get stuff in 2 days, and maybe that just totally spoiled me, because now, and I'm sure it's like, it's a COVID thing and it's probably a staff shortage thing, and I'm complaining and it's a first world problem or whatever the thing is. But hey, I don't want to wait. Like I just ordered some new sweatshirts from our school for like school merch for us to have. And they said 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm like, 4 to 6 weeks? Are we like having a baby? Like, what is this? Like, no. So even as adults, it's hard. So if the thing about little kids is they'll have an emotion and it's almost like they like throw up the emotion and it's like right there and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So then you have to show them, okay, you're angry, or okay, you're tired, or you're jealous. Okay, how can we handle this? It's like right here. And they're like, take it, just take it. And you're like, okay, how do we handle this thing? It's this blob.
So I actually, so this brings me to, I have like I don't even know if like, I wouldn't even call it like a tip because like, this isn't something that works 100% of the time. So I don't want to like, oh yeah, totally try this. It totally cures tantrums. But, I've been, thinking about ways to kind of make her, cause she hates bedtime. Like it's not a thing that she ever wants to do ever. And she always throws a tantrum, which is like just every night. And we're like, oh my God, this girl is going to be like 30 and her husband's or whoever she's living with is going to call me and be like, why didn't you teach her not to yell for an hour before she falls asleep? But anyway, so I mean, she'll eventually be proud of it, right? I hope. Anyway, so what I do is I'll ask her, I'll give her choices. So now, when it's bedtime, I'll be like, do you want mommy to read 1 book or 2 books before you go to bed? Kind of giving her choices so she's like more in control of the situation. I feel like that kind of helps stuff. Or, sometimes she'll have like a post-nap tantrum. There's just way more tantrums now. Like I feel like she's been 2 for a literal decade. Anyway, but yeah, so for snack time after nap time, I'll usually give her a choice. Do you want this or this? Or like TV shows, I'll give her a choice between 2. But I think that TV shows is what's most infuriating because she can never decide what she wants to watch. And so like she'll pick something and then, 2 minutes into it, she'll say, no,
Oh, you have to change it. No. I hate that.
And so like, yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's really hard for me to not give in. So I give in a lot more than I probably should, but so I'm constantly changing the channel or changing the TV show. And then like one day, eventually I'm just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like what is, and so like I've started, giving choice of like 2 or 3 shows, like not a ton of choices, but like not just like you're watching this and that's it, or like in the morning, she never wants a new diaper in the morning. And so for some reason, like it's like the worst thing ever is putting a new diaper on her in the morning. And so I'll usually give her a choice of what she wants to wear. So I'm like, okay, do you want to wear a pair of shorts or do you want to wear pants after we get a new diaper? Like, but the point is like after I change your diaper, because we need to do that first, then you can wear either this or this. And so she, and this is a recent like epiphany that I had since starting my medication, actually. So not to talk about ADHD again, but I'm on this medication now and I feel like I grew a second brain. And so now like I'm thinking about all these ways to make things easier and whatever. So if anyone listening thinks that my idea of giving her choices to do stuff, if they think it's cool and want to try it, do it. Let me know if it works for you guys. I'm very like 1,000% well aware that all kids are different. So what works for me may not work for you, but it works for me sometimes, but she's also 2. So, sometimes she just wants to be mad and I just have to deal with that.
I think it's great giving the choices because I do that all the time, especially if the kids are like, I want ice cream for breakfast. And I'm like, okay, we're not having ice cream for breakfast. You could pick between a bagel or we could make some scrambled eggs, so I'll give them that kind of choice. And that definitely helps. I mean, they still might be like, yeah, but I want ice cream. And I'm like, well, I know you want ice cream. I would love ice cream, but we need to pick something else. Yeah. I think the choices it's great because it does like, ultimately you're still in control of the situation, but you're also giving them a little bit of the control and like choice too, because I mean, nobody wants to be told what to do every single second of every single day. I mean, like we all have our own likes and dislikes and personalities. Mm-hmm. So letting them have a little bit of wiggle room, I think it's great, So it's teacher approved, at least by me. So.
Yay! Teacher approved. I want that on a shirt. When we get back, I want to talk about some parenting styles and how those styles affect kids. And then, kind of I can talk about how I am, how my husband is, and Brittany, you can also talk to us about how you guys are. So be right back.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Imagine a world where potty training is fun, fast, and easy. Only pull-ups have Disney graphics that fade when wet to teach big kids to stay dry. So they're motivated to keep the music going.
I'm a big kid now.
Crest gum and sensitivity turns your ocean to You like your drinks nice and cold, but the sensitive teeth thing is getting old. Time to say goodbye to the pain, cause having sensitive teeth is just so lame.
Crest gum and sensitivity turns your ocean to
80% of sensitivity starts at the gum line. Treat it at the source with
Enjoying
Crest
this
Gum and
show?
Sensitivity.
Be sure to check out all the
Crest,
shows
healthy,
across the
beautiful
Podcast
smiles for
Entertainment
life.
Network, where there's a show for every interest.
No matter
Visit
what all the baby experts say, the perfect way to care for your baby
to browse through the full
is
collection
your
of
own
shows.
way.
And now, back to
And
the
that
Imperfect
inspired our
Moms Club
perfect
on the
diaper to be the
Podcast
softest ever
Entertainment
with
Network.
plant-based materials. Huggy special delivery.
So welcome back, guys. And I wanted to tell you about this article I found about parenting styles. It's from Very Well Family. So I don't know if you guys have heard of that. We'll put a link to it in the description. So there are 4 parenting styles. And then after I go through each one, I'll kind of talk about like a 5th one that I have recently seen surface, and then I'll talk about like what I do. So there's 4 kinds. There's authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and then uninvolved. So authoritarian parenting is it's punishment over discipline. It's, if you've ever thought like kids should be seen and not heard, like maybe you're an authoritarian parent. Children's feelings aren't taken into consideration. It's my way or the highway, basically. And parents that are authoritarian will say a lot of "because I said so," and they won't, explain to the child the reason behind, what they said or why, the kids shouldn't be doing what they're doing. The focus is on obedience, and kids aren't involved in problem solving. Parents make the rules and enforce the consequences. And I don't know, this parenting style makes me really sad. I was reading, children are at higher risk of developing self-esteem issues, like because they feel like their opinions and their feelings don't matter and they're not valued. They may also become hostile and aggressive. So they focus on the anger at their parents rather than how to do better for the future. And then they may become good liars in the future to avoid punishment, which is, something else this isn't like, every single kid with authoritarian parents is going to act this way, but this is just, what they've noticed, the average or whatever. So just, man, it makes me sad to read that, because I'm like, why would you? Children's feelings are so valid.
Yeah, like I understand they're trying to be like, this is black and white, this is wrong, this is right. You need to always, always, always be doing right. And like, yeah, we want to raise our kids to be kind, and loving and all of these things. But I think it's just too harsh, It's like, it's just slamming the hammer down like way too hard. And you're not getting the point across that maybe originally you wanted to get across, was like, this is right, this is wrong. Like, I don't know. Because kids they're little people. That's a little person, and they're not going to stay little forever. They're going to grow up and they're going to carry this with them for their entire lives. And if at the very beginning of their life, for their first, 18 years of life, they just kept being told, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Here's a punishment. And like, yeah, they're all going to feel like they're not good enough. They can never please you. So either they're going to be like that, what you just described, where they have very low self-esteem, or they are going to become very good liars, because that's the punishment, and like the harshness is something like you want to avoid. And so you'll try and avoid it at all costs. And so, yeah, you will become a good liar because you're trying to avoid that. I don't think it's the best way to set your kid up for success. I really don't. I think a lot of people did that in the 80s and 90s, probably even further back.
Yeah.
Because they thought that was the way to do it. But we all like have depression now. So maybe that wasn't the best idea.
None of us know what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand what they were shooting for, but that was not, I don't think that was the best method.
Yeah. And there's something to be said, I think, for like, if you constantly tell a kid, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, like they're going to want to do it, And so like, it kind of, like, I mean, I don't know if like we might disagree on this or whatever, but I was talking to Paul about like alcohol and stuff, like you see a lot of, so my family's French. So, the French people, like, the kids are drinking wine with their families at dinner and stuff like that. Right. And so, whereas here it's very, very strict, like, no, and it's bad and blah, blah. And so I feel like you get a lot more instances here where kids they binge drink at a party and they don't tell their parents where they are or whatever. And then like things happen. And so like my approach, I always say, if I want Lily and Holly, like I want them to like be open with me and ask me like about stuff. And I never want to make them feel ashamed for stuff, like if they want to have a sip of my wine, like I'd rather have them do that at the house rather than like, go to some party at some person's house I've never met and then like drink like a bottle of vodka or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like give them, like if I'm drinking like a Long Island iced tea, I'm not gonna be like, hey, yeah, drink this, obviously like, like, let's keep the strong stuff for mama. But like, if they're, I don't know, like 16 and they're like, oh, is your wine good? I'll be like, hey, yeah, do you want to try a sip? And I mean, they're probably going to hate it, right? Because alcohol tastes awful. Alcohol is poison and it tastes gross, but we drink it anyway for some reason. But anyway, that's my little, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have that open relationship with your kids where like they need to be able to feel like they can come to you for anything, and like the first reaction shouldn't be, oh, well, I can't believe that you would even be thinking about this or whatever. Like maybe on the inside, like you're shocked that they're asking you whatever it is that they're asking you, but you got to just keep it cool, like keep calm, make sure your face is good, control your face, because if you freak out about something, they're never going to come back and ask you for help or for advice again. And you know what? Yeah. If my daughters ever came to me and they said, Mom, I messed up, I did X, Y, and Z, I'm like, okay, you know what? First of all, thank you for coming to me and telling me the truth, because that's huge. I want you to tell me the truth, even if you think you're going to get in trouble. Like, tell me the truth. Okay. And maybe I might have to say, you know what? That probably wasn't the best decision that you made. Like, maybe we're going to have some consequences, but you told me the truth and I'm proud of you for telling me the truth and owning it. That is huge. Absolutely huge, I think, especially when the gays start turning into teenagers, when they can make bigger and badder decisions.
Mm-hmm. Then we have authoritative, which is, I think this is me. I don't know. I mean, we'll get to another style that I'm also, I like, so this article is saying that people can be like two kinds. Like they're, no parent is going to just be one, like, we all kind of pick and choose from different styles or whatever. But so authoritative. So the first one is authoritarian, and that's the harsh one. And authoritative is, so you put a lot of effort into creating and maintaining a positive relationship with your child. You explain the reasons behind your rules. You enforce rules and give consequences, but take your child's feelings into consideration. You validate the child's feelings while also making it clear that adults are ultimately in charge. There's a focus on preventing behavior problems before they start, instead of, throwing that hammer down, when they do something bad. And then they do positive discipline strategies. Like I know we've talked about this in the past, like, praise or reward systems. And so children are more likely to become responsible adults who feel comfortable expressing their opinions, and they are usually good at making decisions and assessing safety risks on their own. And then children also tend to be happy and successful. So I like to think that I'm authoritative. I'm definitely also the next one that we're going to get into, but yeah, I don't know. I like this style more because, you do want your kids to follow rules, and you don't, they need to know that things are wrong, or they need to know the difference between right and wrong. But you also want to take their opinions into account, take their feelings into account, and, that positive relationship, we're just talking about, like, you want them to feel comfortable coming to you and asking you stuff instead of just being afraid to tell you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I never want my girls to do what I tell them to out of fear.
Yeah,
because all they're learning is just a survival skill. It's fear, and I don't want them to have that. I want them to do what I'm telling them to because I've either explained it and they're like, oh, that makes sense, or you know what, mom's a little bit smarter than I am, so maybe I should listen to her and not do this thing, or just do what I'm telling them to because they know I love them and I know what's best, or at least I like to think I know what's best. They're like, oh, okay, mom said not to, I'm not going to do that thing. They're going to grow up, they're going to become adults, and they're going to go off in the world, and they're going to have a boss, and their boss is going to tell them to do stuff, and they're going to have to listen to their boss. Or there's the law. You can't speed, you can't drink and drive, you can't not wear your seatbelt. Like, there's all these authorities that we all have. Even like my kindergartners will be like, yeah, well, Miss Brittany, you don't have to listen to anyone. I'm like, actually, I do. Like, I have people I have to listen to, even though I'm an adult. And they're like, yeah, but you don't wear a uniform. I'm like, no, but I do have a dress code. So I get it, whatever. But like, yeah, you want to set them up for that success where they're like, okay, here's the authority. Here's the person I have to listen to. Here's the law. Okay, whether or not I agree with it, I need to do what I'm told, or I might go to jail. Hopefully not.
The next one down is permissive parenting. So this one is, you set rules but rarely enforce them. You don't give consequences very often. You think children will learn best with minimal interference. You're lenient, like you'll only step in if there's a serious problem. You're very forgiving. You have a kids will be kids attitude. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, I'm not saying, boys will be boys and they can like go and like rape girls, right? I'm saying like, kids are just, kids will, I don't know, like
they're going to color on the wall. They're going to throw their diaper in the wash.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. Anyway, so, and then when they do use consequences, they may not make those consequences stick. Like they might give privileges back if a child begs, or they may allow a child to get out of timeout early if he promises to be good or something. So this parent wants to be more of a friend than a parent. They often encourage their children to talk with them about their problems, but they usually don't put much effort into discouraging poor choices or bad behavior. Kids are more likely to struggle in school, which is interesting to me. But I guess that kind of makes sense, because like if your kid is like, I don't want to do homework, I don't want to study, like the parent's like, okay, and then like they may have more behavioral problems because they don't appreciate authority and rules. They may have low self-esteem, and they may have like a lot of sadness, which made me sad. And then high risk for health problems, particularly obesity, because permissive parents, they struggle to like limit junk food intake and stuff. And even like cavities, like they're a high risk for cavities because permissive parents like, oh, you don't want to brush your teeth. Cool. We don't have to, whatever, but really like, brush your teeth. So I don't know. So I was reading this, and the reason it was making me sad is because like I see like some of what I do. Like when, if she's throwing a tantrum, like I tend to give in, or, Paul and I will kind of get into a fight because, she's throwing a tantrum and she's like, she's hitting, or like she's doing something, that's bad behavior. And I kind of just, to get the behavior to stop, I'll give her what she's screaming about. But that's not even like, I don't even consider like, that's not even me parenting. That's just me trying to save my own self from that situation. You know what I mean? And so like, there's a report of like sadness and stuff. Like it made me really sad because I was like, oh no, like I don't want my girls to have low self-esteem. Like I want them to be super confident, but yeah, I can definitely see myself. I feel like I'm authoritative, permissive, and I think Paul's kind of, he's authoritative, but sometimes to me, it feels like he can be a little bit authoritarian, but I think that's only because of my permissive side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I agree with some things, like children will learn best with minimal interference. So I do strongly believe that children do learn, and like I do believe that, they have to make mistakes on their own in order to learn from them. I wouldn't go to the extreme of that, like I'm not just gonna like, okay, like bye, like, like
here's a match and go ahead, play with this.
but Lily learns best by doing, just like me. And so, like I want her to experience things for herself, and learn things on her own and stuff. So I do agree with that. But yeah, the whole consequences, not sticking thing, that's me to a T. I'm such a pushover with that girl. It's just because it's like her big emotions trigger my big emotions, and then I just want my big emotions to stop. And so like it's really hard. It's good that I'm aware that that's happening, like instead of just assuming that it's Lily. Like it's definitely a me problem, but I need to figure out how to solve that so that I'm not getting into those situations. Because then, Paul and I will have a fight because he sees me like backseat parenting when really I'm just trying to like save my own skin. So in those moments, I should probably just like, hey, I'm gonna step away or something, But I don't know. She's so cute, and when she's crying, like I want to cry. And like you want another popsicle? Okay, have another popsicle because you're so cute, And Paul's like, she's about to have dinner, and I'm just like, but she's so cute.
Molly was throwing a fit one morning at breakfast. I don't even remember exactly what it was. I think it might have been over the cereal box. Molly had the box, and then Clara wanted it so she could pour her cereal. So Clara took the box and was pouring it, and Molly turns around, and she's 4, but she's like really tiny, and she has these really big eyes, and she has these adorable curls, and she looks at me with like the saddest face and the biggest eyes. They're welling up with tears, and she's like, Mommy, she took the cereal box away from me. And as she's saying it, she has both of her little fists clenched up high in the air. And then when she says she took the cereal box away from me, they both just came pounding down on the table. And I'm sorry, it was really cute, but I had to be like,
adorable.
Okay. It's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, you were looking at that, and bet your sister would like some breakfast. So once she's done pouring it, let's put it in the middle and you can both look at it. And then we solved that. And then my husband and I looked at each other and like laughed because I'm like, that was so funny and adorable. Like she was like so angry, but she's so tiny. It's so funny.
Oh my God, this isn't related, but my mom will talk about this all the time. I used to. So when I was really mad, I don't know why I did this, but I would like pinch my lips together and like show my mom my pout. I'd be like, I'm this mad. Like I'm this mad, and like I'd measure my pout and I'd like show her like, oh, like kind of like a warning, like, oh, I'm this mad, like you better do what I'm, anyway. But yeah, toddlers are funny and cute, and anyway. But yeah, so I definitely have some permissive going on there, but it's more about me and less about her. I think that when it comes to actually what I want for her, I'm more authoritative. The last one on this article is uninvolved. So uninvolved, you don't ask your child about school or homework. You rarely know where your child even is or who they're with. You don't spend much time with your child. You have little knowledge of what your child is doing. There's very few rules. Children may not receive much guidance, nurturing, or attention. The parents may be neglectful, but not always intentionally so. So this made me kind of sad because I'm thinking about, a mom that has like postpartum depression really bad. That happens. Like women, moms get really depressed and then they can't get out of bed sometimes or whatever. And so like that child's, anyway, but this is like uninvolved parenting is like, if you make this like a habit, like their whole childhood is you just like uninvolved. And so the parents don't devote much time to their child's basic needs, which is really sad. They expect the kids to kind of parent themselves. And then children will likely struggle with self-esteem issues. So I don't know. It makes me sad. But, you know, but I mean, I feel like there's a lot to be said too about, like I said, moms that are struggling with depression really bad, or, you know, because not only that, but like say a mom has incredibly bad postpartum depression, can't get out of bed, and there's no dad in the picture, you know, like how is that mom gonna have the mental clarity to ask for help? Because, you know, I don't know. It just got me thinking about all this, you know, all this stuff. But
yeah, I think it matters. Why is it like that? Like, is it that way because mom and dad need help? Like they're, you know, going through depression, or like there's some tragedy in their life that they're going through, you know, and in that case, like, not that it's okay, but it's like, okay, well, let's get you some help, you know, let's help heal you so that we can help your kids. You know, you have to help yourself before you can help others, kind of thing. Or is it a sadder situation where they're just like deliberately choosing like not to care, you know, which is, it's a lot sadder. But either way, you as the parent are losing and the kids are losing. And so I don't know. It's sad. And I just, if there's a mom out there who's feeling like she's just down in the dumps, she just, you know, you don't have the energy to get out of bed. You don't even want to cook dinner. You don't even want to shower, whatever. It is okay to ask for help. Maybe you're just in a funk, you know, and you just need a girls' night, or maybe it is something a little more serious and you need to get some help, and that's okay. It doesn't make you any less of a woman. It doesn't make you any less of a mom. And again, you have to help yourself before you can help others. And it's not selfish to ask for help. It's okay. Yeah.
It's actually, I would say it's, you know, selfless. The reason you're asking for help is so that you can be better for your family and parent your children better, you know, and I mean, you can't, anyway, I think that's, you know, it's really, it's brave is what I meant to say. Like, you know, ask for help if you need it. You know, there's no shame in it at all.
I feel like I can't put an exact label on my parenting, because it's definitely like a morph of several. And then it does kind of change, you know, because as I learn more, and, you know, I've had Clara's 6. I've been doing this parenting thing for 6 years, and I'm still like, oh, maybe I should try it this way. You know?
Yeah.
All of this just goes to say that motherhood is an extreme sport, and that's why we have to wear workout clothes and a messy bun, because all of this is an extreme sport.
I like that.
Like, yeah. And I just want everyone out there to know that if you're feeding your kids, you're hugging them and you're kissing them at night, and you're learning from your own mistakes, you're a good mom. Okay. So just keep up the good work, you know, drink your coffee. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're ever feeling judged for how you parent, just come hang out with us. Like, seriously, like, we are like the most non-judgmental moms ever. Like, I seriously, like, you know, I don't give a S how people parent their kids, or how they chose to feed them, or how they chose to bring their kids into the world. Like, I do not care. Like, as long as you're happy with your decisions, as long as your kid's happy, that's all that matters, right? Like, we don't need to be shaming each other. And I mean, that's the most offensive part for me, is that it's like moms shaming other moms. Like, they don't understand the struggle, right? Like, they understand, but they're just, you know, they're projecting their own insecurities onto like other moms that are struggling. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Sorry. I didn't mean to like rant at the end there, but my friend is about to give birth. And so she was talking to me about how, like, you know, she's losing it over like this mom's group on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, some of those mom groups, like some of them are great, but I'm pretty sure I've deleted myself from just about every single mom group I've ever been on, because it just gets way too intense. And I'm like, I'll just Google my questions. I'm not going to ask you guys anymore, because y'all are crazy.
In closing, you guys are all awesome. We're all doing the best we can. We love you guys. And just keep listening to our show.
We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Want to get in touch with the show? Email us at imperfect@podcastentertainment.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Imperfect Moms Club.